Market Mantra. Market Mantra. Market Mantra. Market Mantra. Market Mantra. Market Mantra.
Welcome to this edition of Market Mantra, in which we give you a complete update on the economic, business and stock market news of the day. I'm Arjun Chaudhary and with me is my co-anchor in Hindi, Manoj Pathak.
नमस्कार। मार्केट मंत्र के ताजा अंक में आपका स्वागत है। आधे घंटे के इस कार्यक्रम में हमेशा की तरह हम देश और दुनिया की चुनी हुई कारोबारी, आर्थिक और शेयर बाजार से जुड़ी हुई ताजा खबरों को लेकर हाजिर हैं। हमारे साथ खबरों पर चर्चा के लिए ऑनलाइन आमंत्रित हैं वरिष्ठ आर्थिक पत्रकार पुनीत जैन। पुनीत, कार्यक्रम में आपका स्वागत है।
धन्यवाद मनोज जी।
आइए शुरुआत करते हैं अंग्रेजी में हेडलाइन से, जिसे लेकर मौजूद हैं अर्जुन चौधरी।
RBI maintains the status quo, keeping the key rates unchanged in its bi-monthly monetary policy review. Equity benchmarks extend gains for the seventh session in a row amid mixed global cues. Sensex reclaims 40,500 mark. Nifty regains 11,900. And gold rises to trade above 51,500 rupees per level per 10 grams in the national capital.
भारतीय रिजर्व बैंक ने द्वैमासिक मौद्रिक नीति की समीक्षा में प्रमुख दरों को बरकरार रखा। अंतर्राष्ट्रीय बाजारों से मिले जुले रुख के बीच घरेलू शेयर बाजार में लगातार 7वें सत्र में लिवाली तेज। सेंसेक्स फिर से 40,500 के स्तर से ऊपर पहुंचा। निफ्टी 11,900 के आंकड़े को पार कर गया और दिल्ली सराफा बाजार में सोने का मूल्य 51,500 रुपए प्रति 10 ग्राम से ऊपर पहुंचा। भारतीय रिजर्व बैंक ने प्रमुख ब्याज दरों को बरकरार रखा है। रिजर्व बैंक ने आज मुंबई में अपनी द्विमासिक मौद्रिक नीति की घोषणा की। रिवर्स रेपो दर पहले की तरह 3.35% और रेपो दर 4% पर बरकरार रहेगी। मौद्रिक नीति समिति ने कम से कम चालू वित्त वर्ष और अगले वर्ष तक आवश्यकतानुसार यथास्थिति बनाए रखने का फैसला किया है, क्योंकि भारतीय अर्थव्यवस्था कोविड महामारी से लड़ाई के निर्णायक दौर में प्रवेश कर रही है।
In major announcements today, the RBI Governor Shaktikanta Das proposed that the RTGS system for real-time fund transfer to become 24/7 from December 2020. He said the RBI stands ready to undertake further measures as necessary to assure market participants of access to liquidity and easy finance conditions. The new housing loans risk weights to be linked to loan-to-value ratio and also rationalize risk weights for all new housing loans until March 31st, 2022. Also, the bank will extend scheme for co-lending to all NBFCs, HFCs. As for GDP, the growth may break out of contraction and enter the positive zone by Q4 of the current fiscal. Mr. Das said the system-based automatic caution listing for exporters discontinued to help them negotiate better terms with overseas buyers. He said the food grain production was set for record highs. As for current inflation hump transient, agriculture outlook looks bright and oil prices to remain range-bound. The focus must now shift from containment to revival. Puneet, I hope you're still with us and welcome to Market Mantra.
Yes, Arjun, thank you.
Well, the RBI Governor Shaktikanta Das spoke about these three-speed recovery for the economy. Do give us your views regarding that in terms of how you're going to overcome contractions in the economy so that we witness a growth and development as promised. Plus, there's also other developments in terms of RTGS becoming 24/7 and more importantly, access to liquidity and easy finance conditions.
So Arjun, the I think that COVID recovery phase that the Indian economy is, the Indian country is, I think this monetary policy is extremely useful. There are 2-3 things happening. One is that economy is recovering on its own. So while we look at some very quick indicators of economic recovery, like the PMI, the Purchasing Managers Index for manufacturing, for services, we've seen that those indices have really gone to several year highs, clearly indicating that the economic activity in the country is picking up very fast. See, we haven't got final data for these months, but I think the quick estimates are that the growth is very fast. For example, we got data yesterday which showed that electricity consumption in India has grown 13% year on year. So clearly, economy is on the path to recovery, but it needs some helping hand. And one of the most important supports that the government can provide is basically liquidity or availability of credit to businesses. I think today's monetary policy is a very important step in that direction. While the RBI did not cut rates, they have taken many steps which will ensure that interest rates will remain low and probably will decline marginally in the next few months, I would say. So the decision to keep an on-tap LTRO, which is a long-term refinance operation, those kind of steps, they will lead to lower interest rates in the marketplace. Today itself, in fact, the bond yields fell below 6%. They were ruling at about 6.05 to 6.10, and they fell by 10 basis points because the RBI steps will ensure that there is enough liquidity in the system, and also the cost of that those funds will remain low. If you look at the steps they have taken for housing finance company or for housing loans, I think it's a very, very prudent step. They have cut the weightage on housing loans, and they have de-linked the size of the loan from the cost or from the weightage. Earlier, larger loans, if you were giving a loan of more than 5 crores, banks had to provide a higher weightage for those loans in their risk capital. But so I think this step will ensure that you get cheaper loans for buying high-value houses. So many steps like these have been taken, which will ensure that there's enough credit available to businesses and at a reasonable cost.
यानी पुनीत, आप जो कह रहे हैं इसका तात्पर्य हुआ कि जो हाउसिंग लोन को लेकर जो नई व्यवस्था की गई है, जिसमें लोन और वैल्यू रेशियो दोनों का जोड़ दिया गया है आपस में, इससे जो बड़े लोन आप कह रहे हैं, जो छोटे ऋण लेने वाले होंगे उन्हें लाभ होगा, या जो बड़े ऋण लेने वाले हैं उनके लिए, हर किसी के लिए एक जैसी व्यवस्था हो जाएगी?
देखिए, पहले जो लोन मनोज जी, जो 35 लाख तक का लोन था या 50 लाख तक के हाउस खरीदने के लिए लोन था, वहां तक तो कुछ सुविधाएं थी। लेकिन यदि आप 50 लाख से ज्यादा का घर खरीदते थे या 35 लाख से ज्यादा का लोन लेते थे, तो वहां पर बैंक्स के लिए कुछ इम्प्लाइड कॉस्ट, जिसे हायर रिस्क वेटेज जिसे कहते हैं, वो उनको करना पड़ती थी। बाय रिड्यूसिंग द रिस्क वेटेज, अब क्या होगा कि जो बड़े यानी 50 लाख से ज्यादा के जो बड़े मकान हैं, उसमें भी वो सुविधा अवेलेबल रहेगी, उनकी कॉस्ट कम होगी, उनकी जो इंटरेस्ट रेट है वो कम होगा। तो हालांकि कहने में लगता है कि बड़े लोन हैं, पर मुझे लगता है आज की तारीख में 50 लाख का लोन या 1 करोड़ का लोन कोई बहुत बड़ी रकम नहीं है घर खरीदने के लिए। और इस सेगमेंट को, जो मैं कहूंगा मिडिल क्लास के लिए सेगमेंट है, उसको फायदा होगा।
Puneet, they are using indicators like loan to value ratio to assess whether there is a risk weighing on the loan or not whenever there is an applicant who takes a loan, as you mentioned, for 50 lakhs or for 1 crore. What are the other ways by which they're ensuring that the default rate comes down and the economy picks up? Clearly, these are measures by which our consumption will translate into more income and employment in the economy.
Absolutely. So one thing is clear, that government and RBI believes that real estate sector is a very important sector for the economy to revive in terms of employment, in terms of economic activity, in terms of generating all-round economic welfare. So they are looking to revive the real estate sector. I think that is very welcome. You asked about loan to value. See, in case the bank is giving a loan which is, let's say, 90% of the value of the home, then of course the risk for the bank is much more. And if they're giving a loan which is just 50% of the value of the home, clearly the risk for the bank reduces. So I think earlier there was another factor which was being taken into account, which was the size of the loan. If you're taking a 1 crore rupee loan, then inherently it was defined as a more risky loan, which is not correct actually. So I think loan to value is now the sole criteria for assessing risk. Which is also, I think, a prudent step to take. And government should ensure, or should rather encourage, that people come forward and they buy more homes. And because that will give speed to all sectors of the economy. So I think this is one of those important steps. It doesn't sound big right now, but I think going forward it will have a significant impact on the real estate sector.
पुनीत, हम आपका ध्यान आरटीजीएस सिस्टम की ओर ले चलना चाहेंगे और समझना चाहेंगे कि इसे दिसंबर से 24 घंटे रियल टाइम में फंड ट्रांसफर हो सकेगा। किस रूप में ये सहायक होगा और इस फैसले का जो औचित्य है वो उसे किस रूप में हम समझें आम लोगों के लिए?
देखिए, जो बिजनेसेस हैं, आरटीजीएस ज्यादातर बिजनेस के लोग इस्तेमाल करते हैं, क्योंकि ये बड़े अमाउंट 2 लाख से ऊपर का जो आप ऑनलाइन ट्रांसफर करते हैं उसमें आप आरटीजीएस सिस्टम इस्तेमाल करते हैं ज्यादातर, और ये बिजनेसेस के लिए है। अभी आरटीजीएस का जो समय था वो सिर्फ जो बैंकिंग आवर्स थे, आप उस दौरान ही आरटीजीएस का पैसा ट्रांसफर कर सकते थे। तो इससे मान लीजिए किसी बिजनेसमैन को रात को या किसी और समय पर, जब बैंक का जो टाइमिंग नहीं है उस समय फंड्स ट्रांसफर करना, तो वो पॉसिबल नहीं था। ये एक अर्थव्यवस्था की गति को स्लो करता है, बिकॉज फंड्स का जो फ्लो है, क्योंकि अगर मैं आज पैसा देने के बजाय आपको कल पैसा दूंगा तो आपको वो पैसा इस्तेमाल करने में फिर 1 दिन लगेगा आगे, तो जो मनी की सर्कुलेशन है वो स्लो डाउन हो जाती थी। यदि ये 24/7 और ये आसान नहीं है, देखिए 24/7 आरटीजीएस फैसिलिटी देने के लिए रिजर्व बैंक को अपने क्लियरिंग ऑपरेशन को 24 घंटे चलाना पड़ेगा। यानी रिजर्व बैंक ऑफ इंडिया करीब 24 घंटे अपनी क्लियरिंग सिस्टम को ऑपरेशनल रखना पड़ेगा। बहुत बड़ा काम है, आसान नहीं है। वी मस्ट कंग्रेचुलेट आरबीआई फॉर डूइंग दिस, because 24 hours that system has to work, it has to remain safe for people. तो लेकिन इससे जो व्यापारी वर्ग है उसको बहुत फायदा होगा, क्योंकि उनको पैसे की अब लेन देन में इंतजार नहीं करनी पड़ेगी कि कल बैंक खुलेगा तब पेमेंट होगी, उसकी कोई जरूरत नहीं है। अब आप जब चाहें तब पैसा ट्रांसफर कर सकते हैं। इससे भी जो यूटिलाइजेशन ऑफ मनी है उसको बेहतर गति मिलेगी।
Puneet, we have seen that the key rates have remained unchanged, as you mentioned earlier, repo rate at 4% and reverse repo rate at 3.35%, and invariably the rates are linked to the inflation rate of the economy. Food grain production has been high, oil prices are remaining range bound. So clearly you spoke about how interest rates are likely to be low as well at the retail side of the lending business, but we have not seen that kind of transmission either by NBFCs or by the banking sector who are licensed to provide loans, whether housing or business loans. Why is it that we are not seeing a transmission of that rate, the benefit that the banks are enjoying when they borrow from the central bank, but when they retail it at a much, much higher rate?
See, Arjun, we have seen interest rates come down in certain segments. For example, we know that housing loans are now available at fairly reasonable sub 8% kind of interest rates to people. But in many other segments, we've seen that lending rates were not coming down. In fact, RBI, that is the reason RBI has chosen not to reduce rates at the repo level or at the reverse repo level. Instead, they have chosen to focus on liquidity conditions, because usually transmission of rates is linked to availability of credit or availability of funds with the banking system. We have seen that lately the credit or the liquidity in the banking system was not that high, and the rates were not getting transmitted. In fact, the yields on government bonds had risen above 6%. They went up to 6.10% recently. So RBI was facing this issue, or rather dilemma, that while the RBI's policy rates were low, the actual rates in the market were still higher because of liquidity constraints. So I think this policy has focused on increasing liquidity, and that is why we've seen RBI coming out with an open market operation, which is called OMO, of 20,000 crores, and on top of it, they have made the LTRO program is on tap. So there's no limit on LTRO now. It is an on tap. Banks holding government securities can easily raise funds as much as they want at any point of time, and provide credit to the borrowers. So clearly, RBI is now focusing its efforts on providing better liquidity and better credit availability rather than focusing on reducing policy rates, because policy rates are not getting transmitted easily. They will do so in case liquidity improves, then we will see transmission of rates.
Very briefly, Puneet, now that you brought up how the bond market through open market operations actually functions, if the borrowing rate for government GSECs is relatively low, as you just mentioned, then the liability also comes down. It's a win-win both for the public and government.
So to some extent, it is good, because government is able to raise funds at about 6% right now. If you look at 10-year bond yield, it is about 6%. So government has been able to borrow at that level. However, and of course the all other interest rates in the economy also tend to go lower if the government bond yields go down. However, there is a constraint, because a lot of depositors, there are a lot of savers in the economy, and they put their money in banks, and they look at FD rates as a source of income for themselves. Plus, there are other fixed income avenues for pensioners, for retirees, for other savers. I think if interest rates go too low, then there's a disincentive for the savers, and then they stop saving, because they don't get any rewards for saving. So there's a fine balance which has to be between interest rates going down and rewarding the savers. Of course, I'm not putting a number on it. I can't say that 4% is low enough or should it be lower. But clearly, there has to be some kind of a balance between the two. And I think RBI walks that very tightrope in balancing these two interests.
Well, let's move on to more news from the central bank governor. In an effort to provide flexibility to exporters in the realization of export proceeds, the Reserve Bank has decided to discontinue the system-based automatic caution listing of exporters. Addressing a virtual press conference this morning, RBI Governor Shaktikanta Das said the decision will also empower exporters to negotiate better terms with overseas buyers, stating that exports have been adversely affected due to the pandemic-related contraction in demand. Mr. Das said the decision is likely to make the system more exporter-friendly and equitable. As part of the automation of the export data processing and monitoring system, the caution-decaution listing of exporters was automated in 2016. Accordingly, the exporters were to be caution listed automatically if any shipping bill against them remained outstanding for more than 2 years. After contracting for 6 months in a row, India's exports grew by 5.27% year-on-year to $27.4 billion in September, while the trade deficit narrowed to a 3-month low of $2.91 billion. Puneet, in layman's terms, are we talking about caution listing of exporters who have defaulting on payments, and how is that system being reformed, and where does the central bank come in to ensure that there is a better exchange of payment and settlement conditions?
So, Arjun, this is a bit of a technical subject, but in layman's terms, like you said, see, basically this was a protection against fake exports. People who would say that they've exported, but they do not receive funds for it. So there was an automatic way of saying that, okay, somebody has not received funds for 2 years against exports, then they would be red flagged. And there will be caution raised against them, and it will impose certain costs on that exporter. I think it was another layer of regulation, I would say, over exporters, which is punishing everybody. See, right now, if you look at, there may be only 1% or 2% exporters who may be misusing the system. But you are punishing almost everyone now in the system who has to go through that regulation. So I think RBI is kind of reducing over-regulation in this area and will definitely help exporters to speed up their ability of documentation and to get better terms for the business.
आइए खबरों का सिलसिला आगे बढ़ाते हैं, चलते हैं शेयर बाजार की ओर। पहले घरेलू शेयर बाजार। अंतर्राष्ट्रीय बाजारों से मिले जुले रुख के बीच घरेलू शेयर बाजार में लगातार 7वें सत्र में रौनक आज बनी रही। निवेशकों की सक्रिय भागीदारी से बॉम्बे स्टॉक एक्सचेंज का सेंसेक्स एक बार फिर 40,500 के आंकड़े को पार कर बंद हुआ। उधर निफ्टी भी 11,900 के स्तर से ऊपर हो गया है। बॉम्बे स्टॉक एक्सचेंज का सेंसेक्स आज कारोबार के अंत में 327 अंक यानी 0.81% की बढ़त लेकर 40,509 पर बंद हुआ। उधर नेशनल स्टॉक एक्सचेंज का निफ्टी 80 अंक यानी 0.67% बढ़कर 11,914 दर्ज हुआ। विस्तृत बाजारों पर ध्यान दें तो छोटी और मझौली कंपनियों के शेयरों में आज बिकवाली का रुख दिखा है। बीएसई मिड कैप इंडेक्स 0.42% घाटे में रहा। स्मॉल कैप इंडेक्स में 0.29% की कमी देखने को मिली।
Stock market benchmark Sensex today rallied 327 points as financial stocks advanced following the RBI's accommodative policy stance and steps to boost liquidity to the banking sector. Extending its gains for the 7th straight session, the longest winning streak in almost a year, the 30-share BSE Sensex rose by 327 points, or 0.81% higher at 40,509. The broader NSE Nifty rose by 80 points, or 0.67% to 11,914, with banking, IT and infrastructure stocks rising up to 4%. On the other hand, the broader market at the BSE declined, underperforming the Sensex. BSE Mid Cap Index fell 0.42% and BSE Small Cap Index slid 0.29%. ICICI Bank was the top gainer in the Sensex pack, rising around 3%. Axis Bank, HDFC Twins, SBI, Larsen & Toubro, ONGC and Infosys were among the gainers. On the other hand, Sun Pharma, Asian Paints, Nestle India, Ultratech Cement and Hindustan Unilever declined. Puneet, what's your view of the market? Where is this liquidity coming from, and are we likely to see a correction now with the short selling in the market?
So Arjun, markets are once again moving in a very, I would say, in a very narrow range, because what is happening is that very few stocks, if you look at the broader market you just mentioned, with the mid caps and small caps, they're rising very sharply in the July-August period. I think there is a pullback there, whether there's a profit booking by small investors or mutual funds are still skeptical about buying into mid-caps, small caps. The truth is that most of the money is getting concentrated in a few stocks. We had earlier seen that the financial stocks were doing very poorly. In fact, only IT and pharma stocks were leading their gains on the Nifty and Sensex. Today we saw, and in fact, the whole of last week, we saw the financial sector stocks do very well. And mostly the private sector banks, they were doing well. These stocks went up, and we saw the bank Nifty go up by more than 10%. So I think it's more of a sectoral story right now, concentrated in a very few or handful of stocks among the top 30, 20, 30, 40 stocks. The broader market is still not participating. So while we might feel that the index has gone up a lot, the truth is that large number of stocks have not participated in this rally. I think FIIs, which were sellers earlier, are now turned buyers. We could see these FIIs turn to sellers closer to the U.S. election. So we must not forget that U.S. elections are coming up in the next 1 month, and that could have a significant bearing on the market. So yes, you're right. I mean, we could see profit booking in the indices in the coming sessions.
पुनीत, यानी कुल मिलाकर कहीं ऐसा तो नहीं कि एक बड़े बुलबुले की तरफ बढ़ रहा हो शेयर बाजार और अचानक फूटेगा तो फिर बड़ी बिकवाली हम देखेंगे?
मनोज जी, मैं बुलबुला तो नहीं कहूंगा, क्योंकि जिन कंपनी के शेयर्स बढ़े हैं वो कंपनियां अच्छी हैं, बड़ी कंपनियां हैं, और भारत की प्रमुख कंपनियां उसमें उनका शुमार होता है, तो वहां कोई ऐसा नहीं है कि कोई बहुत बड़ी गिरावट आए। मुझे लगता है कि बहुत कॉन्सेंट्रेटेड एक्टिविटी है मार्केट के अंदर, और जब तक ये विस्तारित बाजार में, ब्रॉडर मार्केट में हम बाइंग नहीं देखेंगे, चाहे वो रिटेल इन्वेस्टर्स हो, चाहे फॉरेन इन्वेस्टर्स हो, चाहे वो म्यूचुअल फंड्स हो, तब तक बाजार का जो आधार है वो कहीं कुछ हद तक मैं कहूंगा कि वो बढ़ेगा नहीं। वो एक नैरो बेस पर वो बाजार चल रहा है। आज भी यदि देखें तो सिर्फ 7 या 8 शेयर्स जो है उन्होंने मेजरली कंट्रीब्यूट किया है स्टॉक मार्केट राइज में। तो अभी एक विडंबना है, मैं ये नहीं कहूंगा कि बुलबुला है, बट डेफिनेटली वी नीड टू सी अ ब्रॉडर स्प्रेड ऑफ दिस बुल रन इन द मार्केट फॉर अ लॉन्गर टर्म गेन। अदरवाइज डेफिनेटली हो सकता है कि ऊपर प्रॉफिट बुकिंग आए और ये शेयर्स में थोड़ी हम बिकवाली देखें।
तो ऐसे में जो हमारे निवेशक होंगे, आम श्रोता होंगे, छोटे निवेशक, उन्हें क्या सलाह देना चाहेंगे?
देखिए, जो पैसिव इन्वेस्टिंग कर रहे हैं, जो लोग बहुत एक्टिवली स्टॉक मार्केट्स में इन्वेस्ट नहीं करते, उनके लिए तो ये बेहतर है कि वो जो लार्ज कैप स्टॉक्स हैं या निफ्टी का जो ETF होते हैं जिसे हम कहते हैं, या निफ्टी के जो फंड्स हैं, वो उसमें इन्वेस्ट करें, क्योंकि वहां सेफ्टी भी है और वहां पर बहुत ज्यादा वॉलेटिलिटी नहीं होती। लेकिन जो लोग थोड़ा एक्टिवली पार्टिसिपेट करते हैं मार्केट्स के अंदर, उनके लिए बेहतर होगा कि वो मल्टी कैप फंड्स में इन्वेस्ट करें, ताकि आने वाले समय में जब इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ आए और मिड कैप्स और स्मॉल कैप स्टॉक्स में हम बढ़त देखें तो उसका पूरा फायदा उनको मिले। तो मेरा मानना यह है कि जो थोड़ा एक्टिवली मार्केट में पार्टिसिपेट करते हैं उनके लिए मल्टी कैप स्टॉक जो फंड्स हैं वो बेहतर हैं, लेकिन जो बिल्कुल पैसिव इन्वेस्टिंग करना चाहते हैं उनके लिए निफ्टी या सेंसेक्स का जो ETF है या म्यूचुअल फंड है वो सूटेबल है उनके लिए।
आइए नजर डालें रुपए की स्थिति पर। अंतर बैंकिंग विदेशी मुद्रा बाजार में $1 की तुलना में रुपया आज 8 पैसे मजबूत हुआ, 73 रुपए 16 पैसे के स्तर पर पहुंच गया। इस बीच दुनिया की 6 प्रमुख मुद्राओं की तुलना में डॉलर की स्थिति दर्शाने वाला डॉलर इंडेक्स 0.28% कमजोर होकर 93.34 पर आ गया। रुपया कहां खड़ा लग रहा पुनीत आपको?
मनोज जी, देखिए, रुपए की मेरी जो अपनी आंकलन है, जो एस्टिमेट है, वो ये है कि रुपया बहुत स्ट्रांग, फंडामेंटली बहुत स्ट्रांग पोजीशन में है। हमारे फॉरेन एक्सचेंज रिजर्व करीब $550 बिलियन के आसपास हैं। तो आज भारत के रुपए में कोई भारी गिरावट आए ऐसा नहीं पॉसिबल। मेरा अपना अनुमान यह है कि रुपया नैरो रेंज में, यानी 74 और 75 रुपए के आसपास, प्लस माइनस 1-2 रुपए आप मान लीजिए, उसमें वो ट्रेड करेगा काफी लंबे समय तक। शायद अगले 3, 4, 5 वर्ष तक हम देखें कि रुपया जो है वो स्टेबल रहे, एक्सेप्ट कि कोई बहुत बड़ा कोई इंटरनेशनल कोई क्राइसिस हो जाए तो बात अलग है। पर रुपए में मुझे लगता है कि ये एक बहुत नैरो रेंज में काफी समय तक रुपया रहेगा।
आइए चलें वैश्विक बाजारों की ओर। सबसे पहले नजर डालते हैं एशियाई शेयर बाजार पर, जहां मिला जुला रुख देखने को मिला है। जापान का निक्केई 225 सूचकांक आज 0.1% घाटे में रहा। सिंगापुर का स्ट्रेट्स टाइम्स इंडेक्स 0.4% नीचे आ गया। हांगकांग का हैंग सेंग 0.3% नीचे रहा। उधर लंबी छुट्टी के बाद खुले चीन के शंघाई शेयर बाजार में आज निवेशकों ने सक्रियता से हिस्सा लिया और शंघाई कंपोजिट इंडेक्स कारोबार के अंत में 1.7% उछाल के साथ बंद हुआ। उधर दक्षिण कोरिया का शेयर बाजार आज बंद रहा। यूरोपीय बाजारों की ओर चलें तो समाचार तैयार किए जाने तक मिला जुला रुख बना हुआ था। अंतर्दिवसीय कारोबार में लंदन का FTSE 100 0.5% ऊपर था, जबकि जर्मनी का डेक्स 0.2% घाटे में दिख रहा था। उधर फ्रांस का CAC 40 0.2% ऊपर चल रहा था।
Moving on to the U.S. market, U.S. stocks ended higher yesterday as comments by U.S. President Donald Trump fueled hopes of fresh fiscal support, while data underscored the view that the labor market recovery was struggling to gain momentum. The Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 0.4%, the S&P 500 surged 0.8%, and the Nasdaq Composite gained 0.5%. Very briefly, Puneet, we have discussed previously about fiscal support to revive the economy of the U.S. We've seen the president authorizing the printing of currency notes without sufficient GSEC being sold in the market. How weak is the dollar getting, and do you see this, the dollar being threatened as the international reserve currency?
So there is a lot of narrative around dollar being threatened as an international reserve currency. I'm not a subscriber to that view. I think dollar remains very strong. The U.S. economy remains the cornerstone of world economy, and dollar will remain the dominant currency throughout the world. Dollar index could fall a little bit because of the U.S. political crisis. We could see some crisis after the elections also. But my own sense is that most of the fall in dollar is done. We might see a small movement here. And I think a lot in the short term, a lot will depend on the U.S. fiscal stimulus that we're talking about, whether President Trump is able to pass it before the elections or not. I think that will determine the short-term trend in the currency and the stock markets.
Well, let's have a look at the oil market now. Oil prices today fell, erasing earlier gains, but still leaving both benchmarks on track for the biggest weekly gain since early June on the back of supply cuts caused by a storm in the Gulf of Mexico and a strike of offshore workers in Norway. In intraday trade, Brent crude prices were trading around $43 per barrel, while WTI crude prices were around $40.80 per barrel. Very briefly, do you see oil prices remaining range-bound, like the rupee has remained range-bound to the US dollar?
Absolutely. I think oil producers are maintaining a very fine balance between demand and supply. They've been able to maintain the WTI price at around $40 for quite some time now. And given the fact that there is the demand is recovering gradually now and supplies might also come back, I think my own sense is that the oil will remain at these levels with slight weakness in the long term.
आइए चलें सर्राफा बाजार। दिल्ली सर्राफा बाजार में आज सोने और चांदी की चमक तेज रही है। सर्राफा बाजार में मांग निकलने से सोने का मूल्य 236 रुपए बढ़कर 51,558 रुपए प्रति 10 ग्राम के स्तर पर पहुंच गया। चांदी की लिवाली भी तेज रही और इसके दाम 376 रुपए बढ़े। चांदी आज 62,775 रुपए प्रति किलोग्राम के स्तर पर पहुंच गई। उधर अंतर्राष्ट्रीय बाजारों में भी सोने का मूल्य थोड़ा सा मजबूत हुआ है। आज इसके भाव $1,910 प्रति आउंस के स्तर पर पहुंच गए। चांदी भी थोड़ी सी बढ़त के साथ $24.27 प्रति आउंस के स्तर पर पहुंच गई। बस यहीं पर पुनीत, श्रोताओं की ओर से हम आपको बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देना चाहेंगे।
धन्यवाद मनोज।
And before we close, a reminder of the headlines. RBI maintained the status quo, keeping the key rates unchanged in its bi-monthly monetary policy review. Equity benchmark extend gains for the 7th session in a row amid mixed global cues. Sensex reclaims 40,500 mark. Nifty regains 11,900. And gold rises to trade above 51,500 rupee level per 10 grams in the national capital. And that's it in this edition of Market Mantra. For now, goodbye.
Market Mantra. Market Mantra.